This is a follow-up regarding Microsoft Surface Pro lineup. What I have here is the Microsoft Surface Pro 7. I bought it 2 years ago, and maybe not even a few weeks after I bought it, it started having some problems. So this is the second video that I'm doing regarding the Surface Pro. Anyway, I called Microsoft at that time, customer services, and they definitely approved me for a replacement since it was still in warranty, my tablet at the time. But I refused that offer because they wanted to give it me a refurbished unit, which is very unheard of if we live in a modern and well-developed society. You cannot buy a product that has warranty a year, just a year only, barely a year, and they cannot stand behind that product for that year. So if you buy a product and there's something wrong with it, and the manufacturer decides to give you a replacement, which is actually supposed to do that, it has to be a brand new sealed unit. It cannot be a refurbished unit. I bought this tablet in Canada for $2,500. It's an i7, it's the 512 with 16 gigs of RAM. I could have bought at that time a refurbished unit, or as is known at Best Buy, an open item, for maybe $300, $400, even $500 less. But I decided no. I said no, it's a lot of money, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna pay this money for a brand new one. Anyway, the problem with this initially was the screen flickering. When the brightness was around 75%, the screen was flickering. So I decided to keep my own one and either use the tablet, the Surface Pro, the device, use it with brightness below 70% or above 80%. And that's what I did for the last 2 years. And yeah, I was able to enjoy it until one day recently it got the dead screen. I will explain what is dead screen, I will explain what's the cause, and I will explain how to avoid this. You see, this tablet in time, the battery wears out and starts swelling. So it's probably not visible with the naked eye, but if you measure it with the proper tool, you will see that due to the heat and use and time, the battery starts expanding. So once it starts expanding, of course, being such a thin device, it's gonna push against the motherboard, because there's the battery, then there's the motherboard, then there's the LCD. So once it starts pushing on the motherboard, unfortunately, somewhere around here, I would say about 1.5 inches from the top and 1/2 inch from the right side, as you see here right by the speaker, just a little down below the speaker, but I'll show you more exactly. I will get that pinpoint for you. There is a micro switch, and it's a micro switch that it's working pretty much the same concept as your fridge back home. You open the door, light comes on. You close the door, light goes off. I have here a magnet so I can prove my theory. Somewhere here in the type cover, there is a magnet inside. There we go. That's where the magnet is, as you see. It's right over there. So it's right underneath the right arrow. If you have a round shaped magnet, you just have to bring it closer. It will just go right there. Like, it doesn't stick here, but it does stick here. So if you close this, I'm not going to do it right now because my screen will turn off. If you close this, that's where the micro switch inside is. Unfortunately, it's not just an analog micro switch. It's not like a wire, it's on and off. I think it's a little more sophisticated than that, because this micro switch is able to turn off the LCD light, and it also is able to turn off the digitizer. So it's not just a wire cutting off the power to this, it's also an intelligent switch, because if you have a brand new, a good working unit, if you turn this on for the time having the logo on the screen, that's about 2, 3, let's say 4 seconds the most. If you bring the keyboard closer to the screen, normally will turn off the LCD. For the 3 or 4 seconds, it won't turn it off. That means the system is not up and running yet. So the switch is there, the magnet is there, it's working as it's supposed to work. But when you close the lid in those very forced 4 seconds, by the time you're having the logo here, the screen, it will not turn off because the system is not ready. It's not up and running yet. By the time the logo goes off, if you bring this close to the LCD, the screen will turn off. Also, if you bring a magnet close to the LCD on that particular spot, I would say it's somewhere right here. I'm not sure if you are able to see it, but as I said, right hand side, just a little down below the right speaker, I would say 1.5 inches from the top down. If you bring the magnet without the keyboard, the screen will go off. So in time, what's the problem with these tablets, with these devices? And I notice it's not just to Pro 7, it's to all of them, and unfortunately this is a hardware problem that cannot be fixed so easy. It's not, you cannot do an update to the software and you will fix it. It won't happen. That's the bad news. Also, another bad news is that Microsoft doesn't really care about this. They have poor customer service. It's absolutely terrible. I do not recommend to buy one, even a newer one. They're all working within the same type and matter. They all have the same switch since, if I'm not wrong, Surface Pro 2. They all have this. If you don't believe me, that's fine. Go out there and Google Surface Pro dead screen or black screen or not turning on. 99% of the time you are wrong. The device, it turns on. Unfortunately, you're not able to see it because the micro switch in time it's getting pushed or it's getting contracted or expanded. Most likely it's expanded because of the heat. You see, like right now I'm just editing some video with Premiere Pro. So this program is using a lot of energy and generates a lot of heat. So that micro switch only needs a fraction of a millimeter to change the properties. It's way of working, and it gives you, it reads, the sensor, it reads that the keyboard is on, not just on, it's close to the screen. So even if you have this unit detached, just like that, the Surface Pro, in time, after the battery goes bad, I would say about 1.5 years too, it will swallow, it will push against the motherboard, and it will make the magnetic micro switch to fail. That's why you saw a lot of videos online, put down the tablet, and you start doing CPR on it. I know it sounds dumb, but it's actually working. Unfortunately, it's just a temporary fix, and I'm gonna explain you why it's working. Because the battery is inside, and of course, you apply mechanical force, and you actually flatten down the battery. I'm gonna bring the magnet now, and I can definitely tell you my tablet, it's not hot, but it's warm. It's warm enough that once I'm bringing the magnet, the screen will go off, and it's not coming back. Watch this. There we go, right here. The screen went off, it's still running. I'm gonna try to pat it down. Let's see if this will do the trick, but if you put it in the freezer, might sound stupid, but hey, it's not stupid. If it's working, it will come back to life. Why? Because cold temperature make the battery to shrink, and not just the battery, like inside, the metal component inside. It's not on yet, and it's probably not gonna come back unless I turn it off for good and let it cool down. No, it's not back. So when you get a tablet and has the dead screen, you turn it on and you looked at it and you're thinking like, wow, it doesn't turn on. No, you're wrong. It actually turns on. Unfortunately, that micro switch thinks that the keyboard is still close to the screen. As you see right now, my keyboard is still lit. It's just, there we go. It's still lit. It's not gonna come back unless I put it in the fridge. One simple solution? There is no simple solution. Did Microsoft able to avoid this? Absolutely. How? Well, I would say just keeping the same internal components and just make the tablet 1 millimeter thicker. So in time, the battery will have room to expand, but everything gets packed together very tightly inside. And I could probably relate this if you are able to make the connection in between the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 that was released a few years ago. It's well known that it used to burst in flame one of a sudden with absolutely no reason apparently, but that's because they packed the battery too tight, and when the battery was expanding, was actually getting punctured by some electronic components inside or the phone's chassis, that would cause the battery to explode. Or whatever, not explode, but burn in flames, self-combustion. So I think Microsoft knows about this issue, and I think Microsoft, that's why they have that terrible customer service. I called them just a few days ago, and since I know it's out of warranty, my tablet, obviously, I'm not that idiot to understand that, because it's been a year over, but since they offer me a replacement at a time that I've never accepted, I called them and I said, maybe as a courtesy thing, they are willing to send me a refurbished unit. I can probably swallow that frog a lot easier now, since this tablet is 2 years old and I'm getting a refurbished unit. But for some reason, I think they flagged my phone number, and every time I call them, 2, 3, 5 minutes later in the call, the call just gets dropped, and there is no way with my phone number to talk to a customer service representative anymore. If I use a different phone number, yes, I'm able to reach someone. By the time I explain them everything what's going on, they all put together and they all get my name. They already probably have me in their file, and they just saying like, okay, I'll transfer you to the right guy, and they never transfer me, or they drop the call, or anything you could think of. But if you want to avoid this issue entirely, I strongly do not recommend you to buy a Surface Pro product. They are calling this like a tablet. It's not a tablet. If you are thinking to buy this as a tablet, you are totally wrong. You gotta buy the keyboard as well. There's nothing I can do on this tablet. It's so frustrating. If you want a tablet, get an Android tablet or get the iPad Pro or whatever. I can't stand to Apple products anyway, so it's not for me. Dell has some tablets. I'm not sure if it's a good alternative. Lenovo has some tablets. I'm not sure either. What I needed a tablet for, I needed Windows. I'm a Windows guy. I needed something very light and portable to take it with me wherever I would go and use it as a computer. This was perfect for the time it was working. Unfortunately, that's the problem, and I don't think it's any fixable. You have to remove the screen. You have to remove it in such a manner that you're not gonna ruin it, which is absolutely difficult to do that. And then you have to locate the micro switch and somehow to crisscross the wires, so the light will stay on for whatever the tablet is on. If the tablet will be on, the LCD will be on. If you bring this close together, the light won't switch off anymore unless you push the power button. So it's like, to make it in simple words, it's like you open the fridge and you remove the switch inside your fridge door and put the wires together, and when you close the door, the light is still inside, it's still lighting up. If you want to turn off the light, you plug it out, but then you're gonna ruin your food. But that's not the case with the tablet, with this Microsoft Surface. I just made that reference because it's a lot easier for me to explain, and I hope everyone was able to understand me, as English is not my mother language, and I just tried my best. I wish you luck, and my honest opinion, do not buy Windows Surface. It doesn't matter which one, the 7, the 8, the newer, the oldest, the newer, do not buy it. Sooner or later, this issue will happen, and I just explain you why. The battery goes bad, the battery expands, the heat and the battery expands, and then it's pushing against the motherboard, which causes to fail. The magnetic micro switch thinks the keyboard is always close to the screen. That's it for today, guys. I wish you good luck and stay away from Microsoft Surface.